here to talk to you today specifically about how to get and keep attention as a blogger. And to just qualify very quickly and very briefly, my experience blogging dates back 7 years. I started in 2006. I launched a blog called The Buzzbin, which became a top 10 PR blog in the world. I sold that blog as part of the company that I had built around it. And when it was acquired, I lost 5,000 RSS subscribers. And I moved to my personal blog, which did well right out of the gate, largely because of a presence on social networks like Twitter and Facebook, which were very popular even back in 2009. And of course, in addition to that, I had good social equity with a lot of bloggers. But I made a lot of mistakes, I'll be brutally honest. I think I got sloppy. I got into a few blog wars. I stopped publishing regularly. And I made a few other mistakes, which you can read about on Monday. I have this whole thing right here. I'll put it up on the blog. But the thing that happened was I basically eroded my readership by not showing up and suiting up and giving them what they were looking for. And so then in the past year, I started working with Ginny Dietrich on a book. And being around her was fantastic. I recovered a little bit of my zest and desire to speak. I started publishing regularly. I developed an editorial mission again. And I started blogging consistently. I cleaned up my act online, stopped being such an idiot with the blog wars.
What is a blog war?
Basically when you get in a fight with another blogger and you start going at each other. It's kind of petty high school stuff, I don't know. But it was something that we did a lot in 2006 and 2007 when blogging was really popular and we were debating what social media marketing was. It was okay. But then, as time progressed, it became not okay. So, and that's probably because of the commercialization of the social web. Finally, though, what ended up happening was I joined Triber. And when I joined Triber, I really started to get a lot of you sharing my stuff, which I appreciate. And as a result of that, between getting back to basics and joining Triber, I've really enjoyed a third renaissance of blogging. In addition to that, I helped Razoo launch its Inspiring Generosity blog, which is probably the top nonprofit intra-industry social media blog. And I also helped Network Solutions launch its Solutions Are Power blog in 2008, which became a very popular small business blog. So between those 5 different blogging experiences, those successful experiences, I think I'm qualified enough to be considered dangerous to tell you what works, what doesn't work, and some ideas about how to be successful. And I'm going to just share with you what my experience is. The first thing is to be professional. You absolutely, positively have to be professional about your blog. I'm not saying you have to wear a suit on your blog. I'm saying you have to treat it like a job. You have to treat it like it's work. This is your shop. When you write content and you publish and you want readers, if you want readers, you are absolutely serving customers. Your readers are your customers. So you have to be professional about that and you have to serve them and serve them well. You always have to bend over backwards for your customers, I think. And so in that sense, you have to develop an editorial mission. Every single time I've been rocking it on the social webs, whether it was with my blogs or somebody else's, I had a specific editorial content mission, which not only dictated the topics, but when I was going to publish. And you have to hit those. You have to suit up and show up every week. I actually try to write in advance so that I'm not caught the night before trying to feed the beast and then I put out a craptastic post. Because just like every single one of us, I'm a human being. Like today, I slept 5 hours last night. I am going to write today. I write every day. I'm not really sure I'm going to write anything of quality today. And I think there's a real high chance that I won't because of how tired I am. But I still write every day so that I can be ahead. So absolutely be professional about your content. That's what I would tell you. Actually, I was told to, Twitter is Geoff Living, Geoffliving. Definitely bomb me on Twitter with questions. I was told to roll through this. Otherwise, I would say, let's go, man. I definitely like conversation and I want to talk to you. And so I'm definitely going to be here afterwards for 2 hours. Let's talk. Okay, number 2, I have 5 takeaways for you and I want to plow through those and hopefully I'll finish up quick enough to take a couple questions. But number 2 is you have to market. You need readers. So if you don't get readers, you're shot, right? In the old days, we had RSS, right? The way to market then was literally you would link to somebody, they would link back. It was reciprocity at its most basic form. In addition to that, you could comment on somebody's blog and they would start discovering you. We used to have blog crushes on bloggers that we wanted to get to start writing about us. We would write about them all the time, link to them like 5, 6 times over a few weeks. Next thing you know, they're like, oh, you're the best. I love how much you're talking about me. You know, I mean, it's still the egomania of the ego web. My wife calls it the ego chamber, actually. You know, I start complaining like, no, 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 no. She's like, welcome to the ego chamber, Geoff. Next. Anyway, she always cracks me up when she does that. So you have to blog. And then after RSS, it came down to Twitter and Facebook, right? Everybody remember that? RSS became less important. I mean, I think that's Dino's big shtick. Triber's going to kill RSS. And I think RSS is pretty much done except for bloggers. Only bloggers subscribe to other bloggers, in my opinion. So traditionally, readers today share on Facebook, Twitter, increasingly networks like Google+. LinkedIn is a really big one for professional content if you're a professional blogger. I think Pinterest is for more foodie types of blogs and other types of blogs that are personal and lifestyle. So you're seeing these different niche networks rise up, and social networks are critical. But I still don't think that's enough. I think what we've seen in the blogosphere is that big bloggers dominate the sector and good quality writers can't rise up. And big bloggers are defined, in my opinion, by media companies like the Huffington Post, Mashable, etc., as well as established players, smart ones that didn't do stupid things like me and crash their readership, that never ever lost it, that stayed on top. For example, Chris Brogan is always ranked #1 on the Ad Age 150. Now, I'm not going to talk about the quality of Chris's content, but if you're going to try to become #1, you've got a really hard job ahead of you, because the guy has so much lead time ahead of you as far as SEO, traction, inbound linking, all that stuff that's occurring that's driving his traffic through Google, that's driving his traffic through established fans and readership and community. It's almost impossible to unseat Chris Brogan and the top 10, top 20 marketing bloggers in that space. And I think it's that way in every space. So how does a little guy like us come up and beat these guys if we wanted to? And I think Triber's a great place to start, because we can help each other, and we do help each other. And I love that. To me, it's like a professional trade association where you go and you meet your like-minded individuals, you hang out sometimes, talk within the tribe, and share and help each other with leads and contacts. I mean, that's networking at its most purest form. Whatever you do, you have to find a way to get people to your blogs. You have to do it through reciprocity in some way, like we do on Triber, or like we used to with links and comments. And in addition to that, you have to figure out a way to keep them. So when they show up on your blog, you want them coming back and telling their friends about it. And there are several ways to do that. You can knock them out with great content, which is what I try to do. You can be like my colleague Jenny, who's the center picture there. She's the great commenter. You know, she makes every single person that comes to her blog feel special. I'm too much of a curmudgeon to do that. But you know what? You have to find some way to make people feel special, or that your blog is valuable and makes their life better. And if it doesn't, you're not going to have an easy time keeping folks. Number 3, personality. I really resisted this for a long time. I really don't like opening up a lot. But with this most recent renaissance, I've started blogging a little more about myself on Fridays and opening the kimono. The reality is, particularly if you're an individually authored blog, people want to see who you are. I used to try to do that through photographs, and I didn't think the photographs were enough, so I really started talking about myself. And inevitably, I do that on Fridays because I want to be businesslike during the week, and then talking more about how I think generally in work or in personal life on Fridays. But it scares the hell out of me. This is the brutal truth. It scares the hell out of me. I am a lone wolf by nature. I don't really like working in companies. That's why I have my own consultancy, and I've had it for 7 years. And I don't ever need to go back, I don't think, God willing. I don't want to get too cocky about that. But the other thing is that I'm just not really a team, clique kind of group player. I just don't do that. So for me to open up is really a big deal. It's really hard. And I have to be honest, some Fridays I bail. Like I'll write, like 2 weeks ago I wrote about the NFL. I just totally bailed. I didn't want to open up. I didn't want to have a conversation about the way I think or feel, you know? I just didn't want to do it. But inevitably, whenever I throw those runaway posts, I'm running away. I'm not going to do it. those posts do much worse than the ones when I open up and I share a little bit of how I think and feel. And I think that I'm seeing a corresponding rise in traffic as I show that little touch of personality every Friday. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind. Show who you are. And you know what? Not everybody's going to be, I like to talk about Elmo in this sense because my daughter's 2 years old and she has the biggest crush I've ever seen on Elmo. Not everybody's going to be Elmo, right? Not everybody's going to be the red, lovable guy. You know, I'm more like Oscar the Grouch, I don't know, or maybe Cookie Monster. But whatever it is you're going to be you. You should be you and you'll be lovable for you, and people will respect that. I think people just want to see somebody that's human, not an iron brand that's postured out there. I think that's the real thing with personality. I don't really believe in personal branding. I believe in being a human being, not an image. 4, competition. I will say this, having been on the top, and I will say this now. I am an extremely competitive blogger. I don't know any top-ranked blogger who isn't. Every single one of us is extremely competitive and wants to beat the other one in traffic that day. It's just the way it is. You know, sometimes we're more cordial with each other. We maintain good relationships with each other, but don't kid yourself. There is a really heavy sense of competition in the top tier. And I see a lot of people that want to be top-ranked bloggers that aren't because they try to be like those guys. So consider that when you have somebody that's already established, that's leading a market, that's extremely competitive, that continues to evolve no matter what the technology is, are you really going to be able to beat them out by being them? It's kind of like, you know, Barnes & Noble trying to beat out Amazon with the nuke, right? Anybody here like the nuke? Okay, good. But you know what I mean? It's really hard to unseat an established competitor. This is true in any market. Blogging is no different. But if you want your content and you want to be a top-ranked blogger, you have to look at the market, look at where the weaknesses are, look at what people aren't doing well, and differentiate yourself. Carolyn, you do a good job of this, by the way. Your content's very good. I love it. When your content's special, it stands out. When your content's different, people realize that. I will tell you that I look through all the headlines on Triber, and when I see certain things like keywords such as iPhone, Facebook, Twitter, social media, blogging, I almost instantly don't share the post because it's like one half the other posts. It just does not stand out. And I see the same thing in my RSS reader when I share links during the day. And I look at all the top-ranked blogs, and I see what the memes that they're writing about, and I literally intentionally write to cut against the grain, to stand out against it. Differentiation. That's how you make yourself special. And then the last and the fifth final point, and I'm sorry if I've been long-winded today, and I'm pretty happy I didn't look at this, because you deserve a good talk, is evolution. So when I started blogging in 2006, we wrote these really long-winded, what we think, and I think this and that, very expository in style, very personal, very long-winded, thick paragraphs, 8, 9, 10 sentences. And the media has evolved and changed. You know, first we went through this just blogging as social media, then we had social networks, and now we have mobile media really dynamically changing the way we're accessing content. Anybody here on Instagram? Come on. Who here feels like it's easier to shoot an Instagram photo up rather than write a blog post on your mobile phone? Oh yeah. Writing long text on a mobile phone, very difficult. Who here likes reading long text on a mobile phone? Did you know that the first access to any brand online today is more likely to occur on a mobile phone than a desktop? That should tell you something about the way you need to write. So like, I was one of these writing Nazis that refused ever to publish a paragraph with one sentence in it. Because that is not a paragraph. And my dad is managing editor of the Philadelphia Daily News, and he berated me very much to tell me this. My mom is a nationally syndicated columnist. She's the most syndicated astrologer in the United States of America. Her name's Jacqueline Begar. I hope you follow her on Twitter. But I've been bred to be a writer. You don't write one paragraph sentences. I write one paragraph sentences today. One sentence paragraph, sorry, a little tired. 5 hours sleep, 5 hours sleep. Thank you. I always have a typo, I just had it. Thank you. Yeah, I write like my mom, not my dad, you can tell.
What's your sign?
Gemini. So Pisces rising, Moon in Sagittarius. There you go. The one sentence paragraph is necessary for the mobile environment. The 10-line sentence, even though from a true literary, expository, stylistic standpoint is perhaps the correct way to write, will absolutely force people to run away from your blog because it's painful to read it. It's painful to read it. You have to use headlines, you have to use photos, you have to literally shake up your style for the medium. And guess what? I guarantee you in 5 years, all this won't mean anything because we'll be accessing this content in a different fashion, perhaps even through Siri, God help us. Can you imagine Siri reading you blog posts?
No.
I could, I mean, that scares me. I definitely could see it. I mean, the other things like marketing automation. I refused to schedule tweets for 6 years. And my Twitter following just stopped growing. I started scheduling tweets. My Twitter following is growing about 10 to 15% month over month. And now I curate the links, make sure that it's quality, just like I do with everything I share on Triber, but I had to get into marketing automation. My friend Danny Brown wrote about Livefire the other day, how much he loves Livefire. I personally hate Livefire. And I do, I really don't like it at all as a commenting system. But I do respect them because they listen a lot and they talk to people and they try to evolve their technology. I like Discus. I think they did a good job in 2012 evolving to make themselves relevant again. I was getting close. I was actually starting to consider the Livefire. And I have to tell you though, the truth is because technology moves so quickly, if Livefire jumps ahead and kicks butt and just makes their commenting system so liquid and dynamite and easy for a guy that creates typos like me to log in and clean it up, guess what? I'll go to Livefire. Because you have to evolve on a blogging platform. You have to evolve and stay prescient. It moves so quickly. What if I almost dismissed Pinterest last February? Whoops. You see what I mean? This stuff moves so quickly. Pinterest, Google+, Instagram, even to some extent LinkedIn, even though it's been around for a decade, these networks were nothing 18 months ago. Nobody really considered them heavy shared networks. LinkedIn a little bit, but not on the level that it is today. These networks were non-factors. We don't know what's happening next. You absolutely have to be ready to move. You have to be ready to move. That's it. That's all I got for you today. Thank you.